Back here, we got the Detroit Lions on the clock right now. Jeff, what has been your take on what Detroit has done so far in this draft? Do you like what they did? Did they improve?
Well, certainly, they had a big need at cornerback, and they went out and they addressed that need right away. I guess, I'm sure they fielded some calls to trade out of that pick, but taking Okudah there, solid. Then they take a guy who a lot of fantasy folks love and thought could have potentially been a first-round pick in DeAndre Swift. I know that's a headache for Kerryon Johnson dynasty owners, but I don't mind that landing spot. It's an exciting offense. Matthew Stafford looked like Matthew Stafford again last year before the injury. You have those wideouts there as well, an exciting young tight end at TJ Hawkinson. Now it's time to start building up on that defense, though, because we know Matt Patricia is a defensive-minded head coach. We know he's going to want to have some of those groceries to cook with on the defensive side of the ball. So I think they're going to start loading up from here on out.
And they just started that process.
There we go.
Yeah, Bob, how about Detroit? Matthew Stafford was playing great before he got hurt last year. I think a lot of people are going to forget that in drafts. I know we want a lot of these quarterbacks who run, and Stafford doesn't give you that. But, he's going to be going as a QB2. Marvin Jones has been productive when he's been on the field. How do you look at this Detroit offense and their wide receivers for fantasy?
Look, you look at the wide receiver, and you have an amazing array, whether it's Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, who intends to catch 1,000 touchdowns this year, Danny Amendola, a solid play. Beyond that, I'm not really interested in the arrival of Geronimo Allison or anyone. Those starting three are phenomenal. Maybe we see TJ Hawkinson, come back to form. We saw the spike games from him as a rookie last year. Injuries were an issue. But for Matthew Stafford, having one of his best seasons, that's saying something, right? This has always been a pass-heavy team over the course of his career. Maybe they're trying to change that. But this is, adding DeAndre Swift, this is just another situation where we're driving down the prices of two running backs, either of whom could be capable of having a reasonably good year. I think Swift would be the guy that I'd rather have, but we'll see what the price is. I'm guessing Kerryon Johnson will be the cheaper play. But you're right on Stafford, and that's maybe where you have a chance of, say I like a Daniel Jones, and I think he has a lot of upside. Maybe I reach for him a little bit, hoping I land a Matthew Stafford a little after if he's going at that cheap.
Justin, have you been happy with what the Jets have done so far? They're currently on the clock right now.
Yeah, no, I have. With Becton, I was expecting that. Really was hoping for Lamb, but when we talked a few days ago, Adam, I had already conceded that they were going to go with Becton. Or even Jones, who's still on the clock here, who's still up. They just took Ashton Davis, but I thought maybe Josh Jones was going to be here. Instead, they addressed safety.
Jeff, who has fallen far off your board that you're surprised is still out there? Is there a player or two that you're a little stunned that's still available for teams?
I don't know if I'd say stunned, but I did think we were going to see Zach Moss go before A.J. Dillon. So he stands out. We talked about Tyler Johnson earlier. I would expect this is the range where he's going to go. So I don't think too far. However, maybe the tight ends, if you were going to say that only one has gone, if you told me this 2 days ago that one would come off the board in the first two rounds, I thought that'd be a bit surprising. I expected at least 4 to be picked today. We still have at least 3 more to go. So maybe Adam Troutman, maybe Harrison Bryant, maybe Hunter Bryant as well. Or even, there's still Bryson Hopkins. There's Albert O with his sub 4.5 speed. I think that's probably the biggest surprise. The tight ends keep falling.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, we know for fantasy purposes, rookie tight ends are something that we rarely see do well. I mean, do you tend to shy away from these rookie tight ends? I know we saw Hockenson last year have that big week 1. That was against Arizona, who everyone exploited.
And we saw Fant spike at times, right? I mean, right. But mostly based on big plays.
Right, but do you generally shy away from the rookie tight ends?
Yes, as a general rule of thumb, because I love Tyler Eifert. No, I mean, I just think there's value to be had at tight end. You're either an early tight end drafter and you're not going to get any rookies, and you're not going to care if you're investing that early draft capital in one of the top guys. You're not probably getting a second tight end, or you're kind of streaming them late when you run into your buy. So no, I'm just not that interested. I mean, I'm diving all in Dynasty because you want to get some guys that can maybe develop, and that's what it's going to take. But from a redraft perspective, it would have to be like a crazy good landing spot, and I would have to have a lot of confidence. And in this class in general, I don't have that.
Lisa, and we got the Seattle Seahawks on the clock now. I know you've been a big proponent of Tyler Lockett over the last few years. How do you feel about him going into this year?
Yeah, I did let him go in a trade last season right before he slowed down, which was very helpful for me, not as much for my league mate who I traded him to. I'm going to probably pull back a little bit. I mean, I'm going to look at the situation and say he's got a couple years now, hard years on his body with injuries back and forth. Really need to add some pieces for Russell Wilson. Like you always say, Adam, it'd be great if he was airing the ball out a little bit more, and I think that's what they should be looking for. So I will probably not be as heavy invested into Tyler Lockett this season.
Jeff, Seattle takes Damian Lewis, a guard from LSU. We know they always have the need to upgrade that offensive line, but their backfield going into the year, I mean, how do you look at it? Chris Carson coming off an injury. We know that they had a ton of injuries. They had to go to Marshawn Lynch last year. He came in late. Do you think they draft a running back at some point, or are they going to go into the year with Carson as the lead back again?
I think they're going to go in with their stable. Now, the bigger question is, when is Rashad Penny going to be available to get back on the field? Is this something that lasts into the season, or even worse, is he pupped, something along those lines? Because it's really a shame. Penny was sort of in the midst of a breakout. Remember, he was starting to really creep into Chris Carson's workload and eat into it before that injury took place in December. I think they're going to roll with what they have, though, at this point. And hey, shoring up that offensive line, not a bad move at all. I feel for Russell Wilson because he is phenomenal. He is mobile, but he has had to run for his life for most of his career behind those offensive lines in Seattle. So solid pick here to shore up that interior.
Yeah, that's what makes it all remarkable what Wilson has done when you watch what he has to deal with. And, even the lack of weapons, DK Metcalf was a huge addition last year that really helped him a lot. Bob, Chris Carson right now, do you feel good about drafting him? I know it's early, it's April, but, we're doing best ball draft. We draft now. What do you do?
I'm diving in. I'm hoping the uncertainty that comes about without the offseason program, the hip injury that left him down, didn't need surgery. All indications are he'll be good to go week 1. Will he be good to go for camp if there is a camp? I'm not sure. And I'm hoping that drives the price down. And if it does, I'm jumping all over that. And, every time I see Miami on the board, I know that they've been addressing needs, and running back is one. Zach Moss is still out there. You're just hoping at some point they do something along these lines. But yeah, I'm still going to be all in on Chris Carson. The trust that Pete Carroll seems to have in him, and as well as the rest of the coaching staff, appears to be infinite.
Justin, if I remember correctly, I think you were kind of a little optimistic about Jordan Howard when we spoke a few weeks ago, and I was adamant they were going to draft a running back. They haven't so far. They have a ton of picks, but I mean, are you feeling better now about Jordan Howard? Is he someone you're going to get? Because there's really not a lot of excitement for him in fantasy.
No, but again, if the price is down and I need to just get some backs for depth, I mean, why not? Now they draft somebody, that all changes. So, want to make sure I'm just saying I don't love Jordan Howard. He's not a fun guy.
Yes, you do.
Okay, no, I don't. Okay, this is Adam Ronis trying to mousetrap me right now.
I'm not me.
Yeah, okay. Value supersedes all, guys. And at the end of the day, he's sitting there in that 7th, 8th round. I need another back. I'll go after him. Until the Dolphins pick another back, then pick a back, then done.
Lisa, and you know this, Devontae Parker I took every year. I kept waiting and waiting. Last year, I was out. Wrong year to be out. He had a great year. Can Devontae Parker do it again? We finally saw the breakout. It took years, but he had a monster finish to the year. Can he do it again?
I do think he can. I will tell you something you taught me was the waiver wire is just as important as your draft. And I was lucky enough to pick up Devontae Parker on the waiver wire in quite a few of my leagues right as he started to come on. What a difference maker. I see that momentum and that rhythm that he had with Fitzpatrick, which was beautiful to see. So I do expect more of it. But the problem is, how high is everybody going to be on him in this season's drafts, right? Where is he going to go? I mean, for you, it's a bummer. You've always been on a Devontae Parker, and now you might have to pay a little bit more than you're comfortable with, even though he really did solid produce last season.
Yeah, it's going to be super high. And this is maybe a case where, I totally agree with Jeff Ratcliffe on the new coaching regime coming in. I mean, they made a lot of changes and instilled maybe a little different work ethic and some of the work habits that we all knew he lacked because everyone talked about it leading up to last year. And we'll have to remember Preston Williams is a guy who,
Yes.
I did every beat writer, every reporter I talked to in Miami all last summer and all last offseason, that was the guy they talked about. So I don't know that hurts Devontae Parker necessarily. Maybe it adds a little something, especially if Tua is in at quarterback and they're slinging the ball around a little bit. But we'll see. I do think Parker, you're going to pay a hefty premium for him, and maybe I'm waiting a little bit on somebody else.
Do we see Mike Gesicki take that step up this year, Jeff?
Kind of already did last year. It already started to happen, and I actually am buying into him. Now, if you're looking for a tight end who blocks, you're not going to get that with Mike Gesicki, but I don't know of anybody who plays in a points per block league, so I'm not worried about that whatsoever. It always cracks me up. Oh, he's not an every down player at tight end. I don't freaking care. I don't care if he's on the field for running snaps. I just want him out there when they're passing, and Gesicki's going to be a big part of that. Plus with Tua, I mean, hey, Fitzpatrick, he's always going to have a place in my heart, but Tua can spin it. And he's going to be looking at Gesicki, big red zone presence as well, athletic AF. I like him. I actually have him just outside my top 12. So, yes, late round guy that I'm going to be targeting this year.
Miami does not go running back. Another defensive player, Brandon Jones, safety from Texas. So
why doesn't everyone pick offensive players? What the hell?
Well, they gave us a ton early on, the first few picks of this round, and then it has kind of tailed off a little bit. The Ravens are now on the clock. Bob, what are your thoughts on what the Ravens have done here today?
I think the Ravens have clouded a running back situation, an offense that we had a lot of clarity on, right? At least in terms of the top skill players, and now it's a little bit cloudier. They could still use a little help at wide receiver, I think. I don't know if they'll go there. I'm a little disappointed in general that we lost a pretty high-end running back.
And just as a note, that was a Patriots pick, so they must have traded out of that pick as well. So the Patriots just keep going back.
They now have 3,000 picks in the next day.
And they'll all be made by Belichick's dog.
Yeah, probably. Doing a good job making those trades. Want to thank you guys here for joining us here in this hour. We still have more coverage coming up next. You'll get John and Pembe, Ryan Hallam. I'll be back with Justin, Howard Bender, Dan Malin, and Jen Piacente at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned for more coverage here on Fantasy Alarm.
What's up, FA Nation? John Pember here with Ryan Hallen, bringing you day 2 coverage of the NFL Draft. Ryan, it's been a busy day. You and I putting together some reaction videos for the site. Crazy day of coverage all across the board with live streams, pick-by-pick analysis, everything going on. How's day 2 treating you?
So far, so good. Yeah, definitely very busy. We had, like you said, the videos, everything going on. And the picks, obviously, in this round come in a little bit faster than they did yesterday. Already into round 3 tonight. So, it's trying to keep up on it, trying to figure out who went where, if it's a good pick, bad pick. There's been some that you were like, mwah, that was perfect. And then there's some others you're like, what in the world were they thinking? Which is every draft, but it's been extra fun today to watch it play out.
Definitely some head scratches for me in round 2, and I think you may agree with me now. We expected round 2 to be the round where the running backs went. I don't really quite expected that these were the teams that would be drafting running backs, though.
That to me is definitely.
Go ahead.
DeAndre Swift to the Lions, and they only drafted Kerryon Johnson a few years ago. I know he has some injury problems. I did a reaction video on that one. Cam Akers to the Rams. They let Todd Gurley go, but you figured Darrell Henderson from last year they had some faith in. And J.K. Dobbins to the Ravens. Mark Ingram, getting up there a little bit, but I really didn't expect them to go running back with Justice Hill last year. And A.J. Dillon was the latest in Green Bay. Aaron Jones really just kind of seemed 19 touchdowns last year. Kind of seemed he came into his own. They have Jamal Williams to catch passes out of the backfield.
Jamal,
if Aaron Rodgers
likes to call him.
Yeah, and if Aaron Rodgers was mad about them picking a quarterback yesterday, he can't be all that thrilled about them picking a running back today.
Still no wide receivers for Green Bay. And then adding to that, Jonathan Taylor went to Indy where they got Marlon Mack right there. So
yes, I missed that one.
All of these, stud running backs that we expected to go to round 2, all of us in dynasty leagues, couldn't wait to get our hands on these running backs. And they're all in timeshares. Every single one of them is going to be in some sort of timeshare backfield. None of them got the clean break there. So, for me, that was easily the biggest surprise. If we are going head scratches, though, the Lions, for sure, going with Swift, and then Green Bay, again, going there with Dillon, not getting any help. I figured the Lions would have gone, again, on the defensive side of the football, like they did in round 1, to help up that secondary. And then the Packers, again, everybody's waiting for a wide receiver. This is the deepest wide receiver draft there's been, but, these wide receivers are getting drafted, so they're almost running out of that top-tier talent in this draft.
Yeah, we're 5, 6, 8 picks maybe into the 3rd round now. I guess they brought in Devin Funchess. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. He's a 3rd receiver, so to see them go quarterback, running back, to me, has really, the Packers are one of the bigger head scratchers of the entire draft so far. The other one is tight end Cole Kmet to the Bears, that I think is that their 9th tight end on their roster now. Yeah. He's nice, but I mean, and Jimmy Graham is getting older. I mean, that's a quick experiment. I mean, are they going anywhere? But they even brought on Graham. Now they draft, probably the best tight end out there.
Definitely, definitely the top tight end. They just let go Trey Burton, I guess, to make room for this Kmet pick. Now, I'm a Patriots fan. I had my eye on Kmet in round 2. I thought maybe that was a reason that they had drafted down or traded out of the 1st round, rather, to maybe target a Kmet in round 2. That wasn't ended up being the case. They drafted a safety from a Division II school, which is just, classic Bill Belichick. Now, granted, the safety was, the 3rd ranked safety in the draft. So, give or take that. But again, classic Bill, leaving guys on the board for more prominent schools going in that direction. What was maybe your favorite pick of round 2? Anybody you feel really hit a home run there?
There was a few. I really liked Denzel Mims to the Jets. They brought in Brashad Perriman, but I thought they actually needed some more help. Let's see, who else? Laviska Shenault to Jacksonville. Right. I don't think that's a great landing spot for his fantasy value, but for Jacksonville, I think that was a great pick. DJ Chark came into his own a little bit last year. D.D. Westbrook, disappointing. It didn't quite have the year we thought. Chris Conley is a nice deep threat, but they surely needed some more help at wide receiver. So, and I know our friend Justin Vreeland was thrilled over that pick in our chat room that's going right now. So those were 2 that really I thought were good home runs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I definitely liked the Michael Pittman acquisition by the Colts as well. Yes. With T.Y. Hilton, showing to be a little bit more injury prone of late. After he went down, they didn't really have much. Yeah, we were looking at, Zach Pascal we were relying on. We were relying on the tight ends there. Obviously that's not the case right now. Adding Pittman gives a guy like Phillip Rivers another really good receiving threat there to target. So I think the fantasy value for him is going to be very strong. And then if we're going, someone that you, again, did a reaction video to, teams drafting quarterbacks that may not need quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts going to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, we see what the price of quarterbacks is becoming. It's becoming astronomical with each passing contract. It's getting worse and worse. He's had some knee problems. He's had some back problems. He hasn't had small injuries. He's had an ACL. That back injury was bad. So you have to wonder, I think he signed through next year. You have to wonder if the Eagles are kind of planning for the future, if they don't want to give Carson Wentz $30 million. Is it going to be $35 million by the time his contract comes up? So, clearly they looking towards the future. I said in the video, Hurts, the NFL is slowly becoming a more mobile quarterback league. The upright Brady guys, there are still some, and they are successful. But the way we're headed is towards more mobile quarterbacks, guys who can move. Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, obviously Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes can get around when his kneecap isn't broken. The stars of the league are ones who can move, and Hurts fits that bill. He's got good leadership. He's got good accuracy. Unlike Josh Allen is another guy I missed. Him and Jackson, their accuracy comes into question. Hurts doesn't really, and they pick up a receiver as well yesterday in Jalen Reagor. So the Eagles are certainly doing themselves some favors this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a couple more quarterbacks. Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm are sort of, guys that everybody expected to go in these middle rounds. And, we have teams coming out that could potentially need some sort of, future quarterbacks. Obviously the Saints are on the clock right now. Drew Brees, how many years does he have left? Do they really think Taysom Hill is the backup, the future quarterback for them? They could be in the market. And Tampa Bay, though, they just got Tom Brady. Brady's always said he wants to play to 45, so there's a shelf life on Tom Brady there as well. Now's maybe the time where you draft a quarterback to learn under Brady, knowing Brady could be a little bit more receptive to that. So I think as we get, over, the rest of the third round and definitely into the fourth round, we'll see some more quarterbacks going as teams sort of, again, start to prepare, for the future. If we're
What about your Patriots, John? Are you good with Stidham, or you think that they could be in the market for a quarterback?
I mean, I am a big in Bill I trust guy. So from everything that I've read and heard, Bill likes Jarrett Stidham. He, Brady was hurt a lot last year in terms of taking time away from practice to heal, whether it was his shoulder or his elbow. So Stidham was running the first team offense a lot from a lot of the reports that came out. So I think I'm okay with Stidham here. I mean, if they wanted to go ahead and drafted a quarterback, in the fourth round, to me, that would make it seem like there's more of a competition there because they just took Stidham last year in the fourth round. There's really not a big, huge separation there, in my opinion. It's like they don't believe too much in him, and that's like, consecutive draft picks on a quarterback like that, I feel like is almost a waste. I feel like if they believe in Stidham, they drafted him, and he looked really good in the preseason. I would like to see him give him a shot. Even if it doesn't mean that he starts right away. They did bring in Brian Hoyer, who knows the Patriots system like the back of his hand at this point, to start a couple of games to ease Stidham in. That's all fine with me. This is a rebuild. I liked that they traded up, into the second round to get that linebacker. Linebacker was a position that they certainly needed help filling after losing, Cal Van Noy, Landon Roberts, Jamie Collins. For them to get Uche from Michigan, it really kind of helps the need there. And I hope they continue to address the linebacking position, because that's something that they, definitely always struggle with depth. So linebacker, offensive lineman, I think should be the focus of New England moving forward here in the draft.
Yeah, definitely agree. And their defense was already great last year, so they, make a strength stronger is certainly a way to go. They're going to have to pick up a wide receiver somewhere along the way. They have Harry from last year. Edelman is not getting any younger, and his injury history seems to pile up a little more by the year. How long is Sanu there? I wouldn't be surprised.
One more year. And then they got, Jacoby Myers, undrafted rookie last year. kind of like sparked a little bit. And the one thing I've always been, a little bit more bullish on this whole idea that maybe the Patriots won't be as bad, as people may expect them to be with no Tom Brady anymore. And is the fact that, Brady sort of definitely had his guys. If Jacoby Myers didn't run the right route, he would just cut him out of the game plan, it seemed like, for the rest of the day. Or if N'Keal Harry would have a bad drop, he would just cut him out of the game plan. Well, Jarrett Stidham is trying to make himself in the league. He's not just going to pick and choose what receivers he's throwing to. So I think, getting another rookie receiver, could be certainly in the cards here. But I think Stidham at quarterback, he's going to be more willing to, go back to these guys and sort of develop along with them. So I kind of like the prospects for some of these Patriots receivers under Stidham, because he almost doesn't know enough, right? He's just out there to chuck and not make mistakes. And I think, he's not going to go ahead and have sort of the ego that Brady had. Because, even Brady, not to talk too much about the Patriots here, but when he gave that interview with Howard Stern, said, if he didn't feel a guy could help them, he would tell Bill, don't put him on the field. I'm not going to throw to him. Well, sometimes he had no choice and he wouldn't throw the football. So, those are certainly things, I would have liked to have them address the tight end position, but this isn't a great tight end draft. So, who knows? How are you feeling about your 49ers? What are we expecting from them in later rounds?
Well, we don't have another pick till the 5th, so it's going to be a little while before we pick again. I was live on the air yesterday when they made the pick of Kirkland. Not Kirkland. Yeah, Kirkland. I was not happy at the time.
Yeah.
Kinlaw, not Kirkland.
Kinlaw, AK, names, it's all the same.
Kinlaw, Kirkland, whatever. Yeah. You know what I meant. But when they came back with Brandon Ayuk, I felt a little bit better about it. I knew they were going to, end up with a receiver in here somewhere. And it's all Shanahan, man. It's all the play calling. It's all the design. It's all the misdirection. He's a master at that. I don't know that they need very much. They beefed up their defensive line. I assume they're going to take a corner at some point. I don't know if they're going to trade up or not, but, coming off the Super Bowl run, bringing back pretty much everybody. Let's load up. We got a couple of really good guys yesterday and make another run at it.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting again to see as we get into this middle round drafts. So, our team's going to continue to draft for need. They're going to continue to draft, for depth. Tampa Bay's coming up here on the clock right now. We saw them obviously, draft the tackle early on to, get Tom Brady. The protection there. Now they're, with their 3rd round pick, are they going to continue to address, needs on the offensive line? We initially thought maybe they would be a team that would be a player for a running back possibly, but all those running backs have really gone off the board. The top ranked running back right now is Zach Moss. I don't know if he necessarily will fit a need for them there. I think I'd rather have Ronald Jones than go ahead and use a pick on Zach Moss. So it'll be interesting to see where Tampa Bay goes after drafting tackle safety in the first 2 picks here for them, if they're going to go ahead and address a need. And then Denver's gone wide receiver, giving Drew Lock some additional and they did. They took a running back, Tampa Bay, Keyshawn Vaughn out of Vanderbilt. So, I figured – we all thought running back would be something that they would go ahead and take. Vaughn's going to add some depth for them. Definitely someone that they're going to look to, potentially catch some passes from Tom Brady on the backfield. So we'll see exactly how that all ends up playing out. But like I said, now we have Denver on the clock. For me, I felt like they could use some depth on that defensive side of the football in the secondary. But they went wide receiver. So now they have Sutton, Judy, and was it Harmon? Did I have that right?
Yeah, KJ Harmon.
Yeah, as the 3 receivers there, they give Locke some weapons to go with Fant, and then the running game with Lindsey and Gordon. So it'll be interesting again to see how these teams sort of go about their drafting, because to me, Denver's been a surprise so far.
Denver has to replace Chris Harris, in my opinion. Left in free agency. That's going to be the biggest hole. He's kind of really a shutdown corner. So to watch him walk away and not see them replace him right away, I love to see them give young quarterback and Drew Lock 2 more options. Cortland Sutton really came into his own last year. We saw them pick Judy yesterday. That was great. Now, more weapons for Locke. B, some pressure off Sutton, but also C, pressure off Judy. I mean, he came in as maybe, the 1 or 2 receiver in this draft. A lot of times guys like that come into the league with a lot of pressure. Doesn't have to be the man there. Right. So I think that really helps him. So I think I'm not a huge Drew Lock fan. I want to see some more. He showed some flashes, and then he showed a lot of inconsistency. he's a rookie. He didn't have a great offensive line in front of him. Had almost no running game. So clearly, he wasn't exactly set up to succeed right from the start. So I think this will be a big year for him as far as whether he's going to make it or whether he's going to be like a Derek Carr kind of type. So we'll see if he takes the next step or not. But they certainly did him a lot of favors picking 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, definitely, like you said. And I agree with you. The offensive line can obviously key for a rookie quarterback, give him some protection. Now, again, year 2, more time to develop. So while they're on the clock right now, we'll wait and see if they do address that need in corner. Looking at the top prospects available, there wasn't really corner available within the first 5 to 10 guys that the NFL.com had ranked there. But there were some secondary players at safety that maybe they would take a look at. Atlanta's coming up. Atlanta is a team where, they're another team that really needs some help on the defensive side, and they addressed that with 2 picks. A.J. Terrell out of Clemson, Marlon Davis out of Auburn, to really help shore up that defense. Because on offense, they really can't do too much more. Maybe they go for a running back here as well, because Gurley is on that 1-year deal. Right. And they try to shore up some running back depth. Gurley's knee problems could spark up and cause some problems there. But, outside of that, offensively, they're pretty secure. So offensive line, running back there, but, they could just go 3 straight defensive picks and really kind of help out because they're going to need it now. Saints in that offense, Tom Brady is now in Tampa, powering that offense. So Atlanta could really use some defensive help.
Absolutely. They were a wet paper bag last year as defense. The wind blew a little strong and the other team scored 30 points on them. Matt Ryan is a great quarterback, puts up a lot of points, but man, he's just always playing shootouts and it's only so long you can do that. I think a running back somewhere in this draft is really important for them. Like you said, not only Gurley's arthritic knee, but let's look what's behind him. Ito Smith and Brian Hill. We saw a lot of them last year. They both were no good. Let's face it. I mean, neither one of them is any good. So I think Atlanta would be smart to draft a running back somewhere in this draft. Certainly here wouldn't be a bad spot. I know, like you said a little earlier, a lot of the top guys are gone. But, that doesn't mean there's no talent available. I think running back or definitely defense, certainly, some pass rush, that helps your corners look better, if you can get to the quarterback. That's kind of something that San Francisco does. Their defensive line is so good. It really makes your corners better when the quarterback doesn't have a lot of time to throw. So I think Atlanta would be smart to maybe some pass rush, maybe some running back here.
Yeah, Oakland has 3 picks remaining in the 3rd round, including 2 back-to-back picks, 16, 17 in the 3rd round. They went Henry Ruggs because, again, they just draft the fastest receiver available, it seems like, regardless if he's actually the best available receiver for them.
And he never is. The fastest guy is never the best guy.
Never the good one. He's rarely the best receiver they could have had. They took him first, pick 12 there. Again, they needed a receiver for sure, so fine. I think they would have been better off at Lamb or Judy, but Ruggs. We'll see if Carr can get him the football or not. Then they filled a hole there with Arnett at corner. But again, a team with 3 picks in the 3rd round. There's a lot of depth here. They still need help on that defensive side of the football, linebacker, defensive line, and there's certainly some players coming up here. What's your take on the Raiders now? Moving into that new stadium, we've seen Denver, vastly improve their offense. We've seen the Chargers, draft their next, franchise quarterback potentially, and Herbert, and of course everybody's chasing, Kansas City. Where do you think the Raiders sort of fit into all this?
Well, I think the Raiders are going to fit into the basement, to be honest. But I think they do need to address their defense. So like you said, you just laid out the rest of the division. Kansas City, possibly the best offensive team in football. San Diego, all right, we'll see what Herbert is. But they still have a few weapons. And then Denver vastly improved their offense. So they're going to have to play more defense than they did last year. I mean, they let their top corner, Gary Conley, go in the middle of the year last year. And not that he was great, but, he was still their top corner at the time. They just let him go. So I think any beefing up of their defense they can do can only help. They obviously have Josh Jacobs set at running back. I don't know that they're sold on David Carr, but there's nothing else they can really do right now. If they were going to make a move in the 1st round and go for somebody, maybe. I don't really see them making a move on a quarterback. They brought in Mariota, who I think is awful, but that's a whole nother story. So I think they're pretty set at quarterback. They picked up one wide receiver. You know, in the live stream yesterday, we were talking, and as Judy and Lamb were falling, Adam Ronis was sitting there going, or I'm sorry, Brad Evans was like, do they take both wide receivers? Like, how good would it be if they ended up with Ruggs and one of those two receivers? It didn't end up happening, but it was an entertaining conversation. But there are still wide receivers. This could be the time to take another wide receiver. Tyrell Williams stinks. He's a 40-yard. He's a 40-yard pass or nothing, and most of the time it's nothing. Darren Waller is obviously the center of their passing game. But how many teams have you ever seen been successful with their tight end?
Hey, don't sleep on
only
Hunter
receiver they have.
Don't sleep on Hunter Renfrow.
You're a good point. I really like Hunter Renfrow. I think he's going to have a good season as long as he can stay healthy. More of a possession receiver, an Edelman type. But yeah, I think he can rack up some good stats. But he's not the number one receiver you get the warm and fuzzies about.
Yeah. No, I had him in some DFS contests at the end of last year. Put him on the dartboard, and he came through with some big performances. Denver did go ahead and address the cornerback situation there. Michael Omojidia from Iowa. I'm sure I butchered that last name. I'm definitely not a linguist when it comes to some of these players' names. I usually let Justin Fensterman take care of that for me. They did go ahead. They did go ahead and address the cornerback situation as we sort of figured there out of Iowa. Maybe a little bit early. I'm looking at his draft profile. They kind of have him graded out as a 4th, 5th round pick, potential backup to a special team player. So not exactly replacing Chris Harris here in the 3rd round based off that. But I mean, hey, scouts aren't always right. We've seen plenty of times guys get profiled wrong. I know Richard Sherman always likes throwing out his scouting profile when he was out of Stanford, and look at him now, an All-Pro. So it'll be interesting again to see sort of how that all ends up playing out. Another team coming up the clock, we have the Jets, Howard Bender's team there. They went ahead and they've actually drafted smartly. Teams, fans are used to booing every pick the New York Jets end up making, and most of the time it's for good reason. But they went ahead and they've basically filled needs that they have. They drafted a tackle, pick 11, great pick. They could have taken a receiver to give in Sam Darnold help, but it doesn't really matter if he's got receivers if he can't hold on to the ball long enough because he's getting sacked. So Mikael Becton, perfect tackle for them. And then they addressed the receiver position with Denzel Mims, perfect because Josh Doctson, Brashard Perriman, and Jamison Crowder. Not really the receiving core you're looking there. So Mims is going to go ahead and fill probably an instant void for them. And if he can develop that chemistry with Darnold, it'll be interesting to see exactly where he starts going in fantasy drafts, comparatively to the other guys there. And then, their secondary had been brutal, and they, 3rd round pick, the 4th pick overall in this round, Ashton Davis, safety out of California. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what they do here. They could go running back. They have Love Bell for how much longer? Again, Zach Moss is, still sitting there as a top-ranked running back available. He was a really good runner in Utah. He got hurt this year, but it'll be interesting to see, eventually when he goes. You could always have enough offensive line, and they could use some linebackers here. So we'll see where the Jets end up going with their pick. The Falcons just drafted. They actually went with the center. So again, helping that offensive line there, perfectly fine with me. So it's really all interesting to see what comes about as we move along in this 3rd round. Any other teams maybe you're looking forward to seeing, where they're coming up? Dallas is obviously coming up. We talked about the Raiders, the Chargers, Colts picking again. So a lot of these teams, with multiple picks in the 3rd round are starting to come back around.
Yeah, now on the Jets, I think either they could use some pass rush for sure, and I think you hit it on the head with the running back. After last year, and I know he was the perfect soldier, how long do you think Le'Veon Bell really wants to hang out in there? Their head coach has done nothing but trash him since he's got there. Right. Said he was a waste of money. Said if he was in charge, they wouldn't have had him. Barely handed him the ball at all. Had a terrible offensive line in front of him, and they drafted one guy, but their line still could use a little bit of help. So if they went running back, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised here if Adam Gase talked them into a running back, because I think Bell is going to be out of town the minute that he can, or else rushing the quarterback. There's never enough of that, so they end up with an edge rusher there. I wanted to go back real quick because you talked about Michael Pittman, early pick in the 2nd round for the Colts. Last year they drafted Paris Campbell in the 2nd round, was hurt most of last year. With the Hilton, obviously they're number 1. the Pittman-Campbell, I mean, how do you think that might play out this year? You think Pittman could leapfrog Campbell? You think he'll be the 3? I think that's a very interesting dynamic as far as fantasy is concerned. Like, which of these guys could possibly be the 2 and who's going to be the 3? Because they have a quarterback who can throw the ball this year. Jacoby Brissett is nice, but Phillip Rivers is a real guy who can chuck the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'd probably give, depending on how Cam plays out, because you're right, Cam missed a lot of time. He probably gets a slight edge there because he has the experience in the system. But, Pittman is a beast. I feel like he could step in right now and really contribute, into that offense. So it'll be interesting to see how camp goes, see how quickly they pick up the offense, how patient Rivers will be, with these young receivers, he himself having to learn a new offense and everything. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how it all plays. But I definitely like the selection of Pittman there. And you know what? Again, nothing wrong with getting wide receiver depth again, especially with the injury history that those guys have. And they could be another team that may also be looking at the quarterback market. They picked the 21st pick in the 3rd round coming up. They had Brissett, but obviously they weren't as thrilled with him. Bringing in Rivers, they could go ahead and take another guy to start, learning the system.
That would be smart. That would be smart for sure. Because like you said, I think Rivers got a 1-year deal. Maybe he plays 2, maybe 3 more before he's done. And Brissett, he got his chance, and he did as best he could. But I don't think he's a long-term starting quarterback in the league.
I have to agree with you there. But that does wrap it up. It's 10:30 for us here. We're going to throw it back over, to the SiriusXM stream, and we'll keep on watching, and we'll keep on bringing you all the content as it comes out.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio NFL Draft Coverage Day 2, powered by Fantasy Alarm. I'm Howard Bender, back in the mix here, and I got the FA family with me here. I'm in the trust tree, I'm in the nest, I'm feeling real good. You got Alarm After Hours trio of Justin Fetchman, Adam Ronis, Jen Piacenti. You've got Fantasy Alarm's finest, Dan Malin, and me, baby. This draft, the Jets are crushing this draft. That's what's going on right now. I don't want to hear about you.
You're the glue that holds us together, Howard Bender. You're the glue.
Well, right now your glue is getting definitely charged up here. Like I said, the Jets are crushing this draft. I'm very happy with what they're doing right now. The Patriots are doing cock-a-poo-poo, which makes me smile, and I know that digs the needle in there for Dan. And while, yes, you know what? You Cowboys are getting a couple of players here that Bowden called. Like, first of all, on his wish list, he was like, my wish list is CeeDee Lamb and then Trevin Diggs in the second round. And everybody's like, there's no way you're getting him in the second round. He's not falling. So now at least I know that Jukebox Monday will be more DJ Khaled than mopey Cutter music. So I'm feeling okay about that right now.
Howard, I just want to let you know that Jim did invent the Cowboys.
He did invent the Cowboys. And good for him on that one there. So how's everybody's draft going on right now? I'm going to go around the horn here. I'm going to start ladies first. Jen Piacenti. How's this draft going for you? Biggest surprise that you've seen so far?
I guess the biggest surprise is still the Jordan Love draft, behind Aaron Rodgers. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, I'm putting in my trade request to New England right now. Why not? What the heck? I'm going to stay there. But, whatever. And then, of course, the backup Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia is a bit of a surprise as well. So I think the quarterbacks in the second and third round are the biggest surprises so far.
Dan, let me ask you here because, she's throwing the ball to New England as far as Aaron Rodgers possibly going over there. Listen, I think that's it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Now. Yeah.
But how do you feel? Let me ask you a question. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you're Aaron Jones and you were one game away from making it to the Super Bowl, and with the first two picks of the draft for your team, they took a new quarterback and a new running back now. I mean, what's going on in Green Bay? Is Matt LaFleur just being like, out with the old, I want new?
I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was Aaron Rodgers, just knowing that they've already drafted his presumed replacement. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They easily could have gotten him a couple weapons. He was even on a podcast a few days ago and said they haven't taken an offensive weapon in the first round in 15 years. They could have just taken an offensive tackle to replace Brian Bulaga as well. They could have done any of those things, but they took a quarterback, they went running back at two positions that they were clearly set at. So it's very surprising. I agree with Jen. It doesn't make much sense. I mean, they could have gone defense, which obviously still would have pissed Rodgers off, but to take his replacement in the first round when he's still in his prime, he's still playing well, it just makes no sense. It's a real head scratcher.
Is there another surprise for you that's bigger than this?
I was going more for tonight. I'm kind of surprised that Zach Bond, linebacker out of Wisconsin, fell to the third round. I thought he would have gone late in the first round. Really good edge rusher. Anybody that needed pass rush help could have used him. I guess he didn't really wow GMs and coaches with his interviews at the combine or any meetings. I'm very surprised he fell to the third round. I mean, I knew that there was potential he could fall to the first round. Maybe seemed like a second round lock. The fact that the Saints got him in the third round, they got a very, very good edge rusher in the third round.
Adam Ronis, talk to me. Biggest surprise so far in the draft for you?
Yeah, I mean, I know they said it, but it's the Packers, going with the backup quarterback and another running back. And I guess there were some quotes back in March that said that they wanted to add another running back. And I guess everyone kind of blew that off. And I know Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, I believe, are both in the final year of a contract. But, Aaron Jones was someone they were kind of non-committal on to begin with. I mean, it felt like fantasy owners every single week were saying, all right, let's get him the football. And then finally Jamal Williams had the unfortunate concussion, and that opened it up. But if you look at Aaron Jones' touches, they're just not high. He was boosted by the 19 total touchdowns But I'll say Arizona has done a good job here. Obviously, their second-round pick turned into DeAndre Hopkins, getting Simmons in the first round, and then Josh Jones falling all the way here to the third round when we clearly know that they needed to boost the offensive line. So that was a little surprise there on the Cardinals side. I think they've come out with a nice draft so far.
Let's go to my Uncle Saul here. Saul, talk to me here. Right? He looks like my Uncle Saul. You got the chest hair, the gold chain, right? Just that big old grin. Like, I just had way too many Shirley Temples at the bar mitzvah. I'm going to do the Kazatsky dance and show everybody my smooth moves here. Fensty, talk to me, man. Biggest surprise of the draft for you so far.
I'll say this because everybody's been saying Packers, so in the words of Jim Bowden, verbal retweet for all of that. But so I'll go with another guy here. Cole Kmet going to the Bears. You and Evan.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, what the hell are they doing? They just got Jimmy Graham. Who's throwing the football? I don't know. We don't know at this point. And I saw Evans freaking out. That's all I needed to see right there on the screen before. But again, you're taking the number one tight end on the board, arguably, and all of us, and now it's almost like he's in a timeshare. He's in a timeshare. That pick just didn't make sense to me at all.
No, that definitely didn't make sense to me either, and I like that. Malin, let me go to you because I know that you're dying to rid yourself of the Patriots and become a Tampa Bay Gronkaneers fan this year. How does it feel to see your new favorite team actually get their running back in the third round? I think you and I kind of I thought it might have been you and I, maybe it wasn't you and I, talked about the fact that Ronald Jones. I guess they've got a little bit more faith in Ronald Jones than we thought, that they felt they could wait on the running back, but they get a guy in Keyshawn Vaughn who actually could serve as a really nice compliment here this year.
I was actually thinking before you guys called so we could do this live stream, part of me actually thinks Keyshawn Vaughn could be the second best fantasy running back out of this running back draft class. If you look at the opportunities, they'll be there for him. I mean, he's got to compete with Ronald Jones, so be it. J.K. Dobbins has to compete with Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson. Jonathan Taylor's got to compete with Marlon Mack. Not stiff competition there. He could easily take that job. And the situation in Detroit between Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift, they'll have to compete as well. So if I'm looking at it, aside from Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City, Keyshawn Vaughn looks like a really solid option as a rookie running back in 2020. If I'm just breaking it down and going and looking at every situation for every running back, I really like Keyshawn Vaughn. I think he can produce. Obviously, it's going to be a high-powered offense, I'll think, because I still believe in Tom Brady. I don't think that he'll ever suck until he's done playing. The offensive line will be better. He's got the weapons. He's now got a pretty good running back that he can get the ball to.
Yeah, he does. Jen, can you trump his statement with the Cam Akers to the Los Angeles Rams as possibly a better situation, maybe? Because we look at what's going on there, right?
I do think that's possibly a better situation. I love Cam Akers. No one was buying that we're rolling with Malcolm Brown situation, Darrell Henderson. No one was buying that. They're obviously retooling whatever they're doing. So I actually think Cam Akers is the one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cam Akers, I think, will do better than in the Tampa Bay. But then again, who knows? Who knows? We don't know. And the funny thing is, running backs can enter a little easier than a wide receiver can as a rookie, but are we going to have training camps? How much training camps are we going to have? We're all going to be guessing, I think, even a little bit more than usual. What we do have out of this draft is a whole lot of muddy backfields. Like you mentioned, I mean, Detroit and what's going on in Baltimore? They still have Gus Edwards. They still have Justice Hill, who we all thought was going to be there. They have Mark Ingram. I get Mark Ingram's 30, but so far he's still been productive. So even if you do draft a lot of these guys like J.K. Dobbins, you are waiting probably to actually get the output for a while. They're not going to just start off being your workhorse back.
No, definitely not going to start off. Adam, we talked yesterday about Patrick Queen falling into the lap of the Ravens in the first round. And now J.K. Dobbins kind of falls into their lap here. Is that maybe an idea of either best player available? Do they not have the confidence in Mark Ingram to carry the full load? And then obviously, to me, Gus Edwards is like I don't know. I mean, he might as well just be a journeyman guy. I can't really put a label on him though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think this is better for Dynasty. I mean, I think he'll be their running back next year, but there is a chance that we could see him emerge down the stretch, especially if Mark Ingram can't stay healthy. I mean, he is older, and I know he's never really had huge workloads. He's kind of split, but he was a little banged up towards the end of last year. So I think Dobbins could be that player, you get late, you kind of hold on to him, and you're kind of waiting for, you don't want to wish injuries. I know I don't. Bender does all the time because he's an evil person.
Only to your players.
I know that. I know that.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think
those are our players now, Bender.
No, they're not. No. They're strictly Adams.
On my fantasy team. That's what he meant.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Every fantasy team of Adam Ronis, I hope, dies like a dog.
And I usually have 15 to 20, so there's got to be a chance that you have some of those players on your team. So you could be hurting yourself as well. But yeah, I do think, Dobbins maybe some point later in this year, could emerge if Ingram goes down. So it's not the ideal landing spot, but we know the Baltimore running game. You want to invest in it. A good offensive line, and with Lamar Jackson drawing so much attention, it just opens things up. I mean, just look what Ingram did last year. I mean, he didn't get a lot of volume. I know they had a lot of weeks where they were in control and he didn't have to play late in the game. But you want the running back in Baltimore. So I think Dobbins, late in the draft, that you kind of hold on to him as a stash in case Ingram gets hurt. But for next year in Dynasty, I think he'll be the man.
All right. Let's get a show of hands here. Better running back situation, Keyshawn Vaughn or I was going to say, I almost said J.K. Dobbins, but no, I want to go with Cam Akers. Cam Akers or Keyshawn Vaughn? Vote for Cam Akers. Keyshawn. Oh,
I'm going to go in there too.
He's such a follower, Malin.
Yes.
Listen, Dan, this is something that you're going to have to get used to with Fancy. It's something that both Jen and Ronis warned me about with him.
Yeah.
He's shifty. He's shifty.
Malin knows I'm a true leader. Come on, man.
You've changed since you were my producer, Justin. You've changed, man. I mean, I don't even know who you are anymore.
It's been 6 months. I get it.
It's been the longest 6 months of my life.
Me too.
Of my life.
It's been 6 months?
Crazy, right?
Since we started the show? No.
Did you guys just celebrate your 100th episode?
Yes, we did.
Our 100th episode, Howard Bender. We're a team.
I said you guys.
But you're part of it. It's us guys. We guys.
I don't count.
No, it's been like 5 months.
Okay, Ronis.
It's December, right?
Too literally, Ronis, okay?
Well, I take things too literally. Wait. Hold on. Let me speak. I take things too literally before every show. Welcome to episode 100. You're counting every single one.
Yeah, and you make fun of me for that too. I can see that mistake.
Yeah, I kind of make fun of him about that too.
See, thank you. Like, Howard, I mean, do you have any idea what episode fantasy long? No one counts.
Oh yeah, no. What are you talking about? I'm on episode 7,366.
Howard, how about this, Howard? Ronis, it's our 100th episode. How you feeling? Oh, good, man. No sports. Like, come on, dude. If I had Jen with you for 100th episode.
That's not what I said. We got to roll back the tape. That's not how I reacted.
You know what? I'm gonna go to SiriusXM.com/stream free, and I'm gonna listen to it for free on the app. Just until May 15th.
And you are gonna hear two different reactions from Adam and I when he.
Well, here's the thing: Jen only has to deal with Benjamin once a week, so she knows. All right, I got 2 hours and I'm done, and I don't have to deal with him. I have to come back night after night. That's the difference.
You called me at 2:30 in the morning.
Because I know you're awake and bored. I know you're not.
All right. This is not. We're not laying down on the couch. This isn't a fantasy therapy session here.
Get in control here, Bender. Let's go.
We are trying to. Yeah, right.
Get your family back on the bus, Bender.
I could have sworn I just saw they had Justin Blackman on the TV over here. I was like, wait, what? All right. Let's talk wide receivers we've seen. Let's talk about the second round because obviously it started off in a very interesting spot. Poor Dan Malin, I know you're getting brutalized here, so I'll go to you first so you can change the topic here. T. Higgins goes off number 1. Listen, I get it. AJ Green, we don't know what's going to happen with him. I mean, he'll probably be hurt for 12 out of the 16 games they play this season. Talk to me about T. Higgins fitting into Cincinnati. Michael Pittman fitting in Indianapolis.
I'm actually more excited about Pittman in Indianapolis than I am about Higgins in Cincinnati. Pittman's going to a really good offense. He's going to an established quarterback in Phillip Rivers. This is a very small window for the Colts to win now. With their first 2 picks in the second round, they went with Michael Pittman and then Jonathan Taylor shortly thereafter. Really like the moves that they made on their offense. Pittman's a huge target. He's 6'4". He's going to go up. He can get the ball. I still like T. Higgins. Not sure I'm a big fan of it this year. When you and I did our brief live stream about an hour and a half ago, I talked about how, given the circumstances that we're under nowadays, there's not going to be any OTAs, very unlikely. Training camp could be abbreviated. The season could be shortened. Those aren't ideal scenarios for rookie players and rookie quarterbacks like Joe Burrow. So I'm more fond of Pittman's situation in Indianapolis than I am with Higgins this year in Cincinnati.
Anybody want to flip-flop on that one at all?
I agree.
No? All right. Everybody's verbally retweeting you there. There you go. Like a champ. Like a champ. Listen, I'm going to put you – you can have my spot. You available 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday there, Dan?
Yeah, I can give you a day off.
No. Not a day.
From episode 7,577 onward.
Gotcha.
All right, let's talk about who wants to make fun of Carson Wentz. I know I always like to make fun of Carson Wentz.
Aww.
Come on, really? Nobody wants to make fun of Carson Wentz?
It's just too easy. You feel kind of bad for him, but
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you thought Aaron Rodgers got douched by his team. Let's talk about the fact that Carson Wentz just watched the Eagles take Jalen Hurts, a guy who is probably going to be ready in a year. I don't say 2020, but 2021. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at that. Fetz, you're nodding along. You with me here?
Yeah, I mean, everything you're seeing on Twitter with this pick is he's Taysom Hill 2.0 at this point. That's really what it is. So if he's going to get some action in the next year or two, then maybe he does take over after that. But that's what I've been seeing on Twitter with the common reaction with this pick.
Are we comping Taysom Hill to Jalen Hurts? Like, is that even a comparison you can make, Jen?
I don't know. I mean,
Adam?
I don't know.
I guess people are looking at it from the perspective of, for them to take him so early that they could involve him in some trick plays and put him on the field. I mean, ideally, I thought Hurts would have been interesting from a fantasy perspective because a quarterback that runs, and we see you don't even need to be the most accurate passer to have fantasy value at the quarterback position. We've seen it numerous times. So I think people were hoping for a better spot. Obviously, New England, Pittsburgh. But this is surprising. I mean, Wentz is making a ton of money. He signed. I know they came out in their press conference and made some weird statements. This is very perplexing that Philly took him.
I mean, I think if they wanted a trick pony, they would have drafted Lynn Bowden Jr. I mean, I guess Taysom Hill.
Or maybe they're really concerned about Wentz's durability.
They have to be.
And they
I don't think this is about them being tricky. I think they are really concerned about Carson Wentz. And honestly, has he played every game in a season? When was the last time he played all 16 games?
I don't know. Listen, he's not a Super Bowl champion, right? His team won. It wasn't him, though. Can we do that? Can we talk about that? When's Carson Wentz's contract?
Yeah, I mean,
he signed. He's making a ton of money. They
signed a 4-year, $128 million deal in June of 2019.
Right. He did play every game this past
season.
What the hell?
He did, and he got injured in the.
But the 2 previous
playoffs,
years, he was pretty banged up. Yeah,
pretty banged up.
All right, so now that I see the extension there, the contract in 2019, then I don't get it. I don't get it. Somebody explain.
It doesn't make sense.
Nobody explains.
They must know he's injured. Maybe they know something. He seems to be injury prone.
This isn't a great comparison, but this whole Jalen Hurts to Philly situation, it kind of reminds me of the year that the Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III, but then a couple rounds later they also drafted Kirk Cousins. It's like you understand, and the Redskins weren't even confident with it, and they only owned RG3 for a day before they went and got his backup. So I mean, it's clear the writing's on the wall. It's clear they have their legitimate concerns about Carson Wentz. Very unfortunate situation, but I mean, if Jalen Hurts can get behind that offensive line and get some snaps and get in some action, I mean, he could be pretty exciting.
All right. So earlier in the night, Dan made actually a great statement. What are you all frustrated about? What happened? The Patriots pick is in.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like Jennings, the linebacker?
I was hoping they would take Troutman out of Dayton, the 6'6" tight end.
Has any tight end gone except for Cole Kmet?
No.
Nor should they have.
Right. And how many picks do you still have in this round?
2, I believe. Yeah, 2.
Yeah. Just be patient, my friend.
Trying,
Don't be frustrated.
It's the first time in 20 years I have legit doubts about my team.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, we feel real sorry for you.
Yeah.
You really? Come on,
the
man.
Patriots can just never catch a break. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they can.
So says the Cowboys fan, right?
Yeah,
They have no clue what we go through.
You guys are all spoiled, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cowboys haven't won in like 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're a
15,
Jets
16.
fan and everything. I know that's rough, but you can't say Cowboy fans are spoiled. I mean, we've been teased, man. Should be better, and we've underachieved. I know underachieved is the Jets theme, so.
Yeah, that's our mantra.
Yeah.
Like, we all put our hands into the huddle, and we're like, all right, underachieve on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Underachieve!
Whatever can go wrong can go wrong.
I hope the Jets turn it around, man. If there's one team in New York that I want to see succeed in the NFL, it's the Jets, not the Giants. So I'm rooting for you guys.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Adam. Makes me feel so much better. All right.
I see that. You just smiled in a major way. You weren't smiling coming into this.
I'm a little gassy.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all. That's all. It's like a baby, You're like, oh, the baby smiled. No, the baby just took a dump in his diaper.
You need to
That's
take a
what's
trip
going on
over
down
to
here.
Vrabel's, okay? Just go hang out with Vrabel for a little bit and come back.
The Vrabels. He's really playing it nice and straight this week. Tonight's draft, right? I saw his room is like completely changed, completely normal. All right, so actually, Dan made a great point that I want to talk with all you guys about here, and that is the fact that, and Adam, you brought it up as well. There's no OTAs, no mini camp in June probably. I don't know when training camp's going to start. Who knows if it can happen in July. So the development of these rookies is actually going to be hindered in a significant way, because now you're sitting here, they're getting the playbook, they're trying to figure it out, they can't take it, can't work it out on the field. Coming into this season, I mean, is that going to keep you off of drafting rookies? Or how far down are you going to really wait? Or are there certain rookies who you're looking at right now, and based on their situation, that they're going to have to thrive anyway? Like, just take, for example, Judy and KJ Hamler in Denver. Jen, I saw you did the reaction video to that. So I'll start with you. Is there a rookie that you think transcends the whole, doesn't, gonna have a problem because of the lack of camp?
I mean, everybody's going to have a problem because of the lack of camp. There's no question about it. But when you're someone like Jerry Jeudy and like you're the guy that they're going to use, or you're Henry Ruggs even. Ruggs is going to have opportunity. What are they not going to use him? So he's going to get used. I'm still not drafting any of these guys really high. If I were, it'd probably be more likely to be a running back because of the aforementioned discussion, the chemistry between the quarterback and the wide receiver. But we also have to think about, without these training camps, hey, are these vets going to get injured? Are they going to be like not in shape? Are they not going to be doing well either? So there's a lot of different ways this can play out. We just don't know. We're just guessing. So no, I wouldn't go all in on a wide receiver super early, but I wouldn't avoid them simply because of it.
Fensty, how about you? And let's take a look, and I'm coming to you because Zach Moss off the board goes to the Buffalo Bills. So now Devin Singletary has his complement there, and this team is crazy loaded on offense right now, but are you going to suppress the value of rookies? A guy like Zach Moss, who should be seeing regular touches early because of the lack of camp.
More likely for rookies that are in a timeshare, which is about 95% of the skill position players drafted in the last 2 nights. But I'm going to bring up, and everyone's going to get ready to boo me here, Denzel Mims, all he has to deal with is the Redskins leftovers. So you're talking about who has opportunity. That's where I'm going to be looking. Ruggs was brought up. He has a little bit more, but I would say Denzel Mims has the least amount of competition at this point. So that's someone that I will have circled for later in my drafts.
All right, Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I worry about the receivers more because they're not going to have an opportunity to gain a rapport with the quarterbacks, see how the ball's thrown their way. The quarterback can see where they like the ball thrown, their strength in the routes. A guy like Judy probably not as worried just because that guy gets open, man. He just has a knack for finding the holes in the defense and getting open. So I'm not really enthused with any of the wide receivers as far as like an early pick. So I won't be reaching for him. Running back, it's all about opportunity. It doesn't matter as much. It's, get the ball, and if the offensive line and the system fits their skill set, they're good. So I don't worry about the running backs as long as they're getting the opportunity. And we do have a couple running backs that are going to get opportunities. So running backs, I'm not as concerned. Receivers, there is a little bit of a concern that it could take a little while longer. I mean, we see it every year with veteran wide receivers that change teams and work with new quarterbacks. And there's that adjustment period. We see it every year. I mean, there's some people that just don't want to have those players on their team because of the adjustment. So if veteran players struggle to go to new teams, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for the rookies.
And Dan, finally, is there somebody who transcends your theory, or you're like, this is my effing theory, Bender, so shut the hell up?
For the most part, I agree with what everyone else has been saying. I'll take a shot on Judy and Lamb if the price is right. If there are other people that want to draft them earlier, if they're enamored with rookie wide receivers, that's fine. I am still concerned about the lack of preparation. One player that I agree with Ronis that running backs I'm less concerned about, and one guy in particular is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Kansas City. He's going to have the opportunity. The offensive line's good. The offense is phenomenal. If he's getting the opportunities, which I think we all should. We saw what Kareem Hunt did in his rookie year a few years back. There's no reason to think that Edwards-Helaire can't get to that level, but the lack of preparation is concerning. I'd still possibly take him in the second round.
You take Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second round. Anybody else? Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second round? Show of hands.
I don't care if I'm alone on this one. I don't care if I'm alone.
Dude, no, listen. You know what? In his rookie year, I took Kareem Hunt in like the second or third round, and I got destroyed by people for it. Absolutely destroyed. So, I'm with you.
I do think he's probably, with all the hype, going to make it to the second round. I probably prefer him better in the third, but there's going to be a lot of hype on him. Again, he's a great fit, and they spent a first-round pick on him. So there's a good chance that he is the lead back, especially if he has a great training camp. As you said, you saw with Hunt his rookie year, he just came out and seized the job. And, Damian Williams has been good, but the guy has not had a season where I don't think he's had a season of more than 100 carries. And he's 28 years old now. And as much as he's done in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs, and he's been great, he's not the answer long term. So clearly Andy Reid is enamored with him. He said he was better than Brian Westbrook. So, of course, that's going to get fantasy owners excited. And I think he will wind up going to the second round, especially come August, for sure.
All right. Taking a look around here. I'm cruising through this draft, looking at round 3. There's Jen's favorite, Lynn Bowden Jr. Jen, why is Lynn your favorite?
Because he can play quarterback too.
Because so let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders then, can't we? So Josh Jacobs in the backfield, love him. All right.
Yep.
Hunter Renfrow actually proved to be a legit threat last year when he was getting the 9 targets a game. Now they bring in Ruggs. You've got Lynn Bowden Jr. You've got Brian Edwards now, who they picked up immediately after.
Darren Waller, who should be getting more looks.
Darren Waller. Can Derek Carr lead this team, though? Or will Marcus Mariota make his appearance?
It's Derek Carr's team. He's not that bad. People give him a lot. I don't think Marcus Mariota. No, it's Derek Carr's team. He would have to really lose the job. I don't think that they really are intending to use Marcus Mariota.
Would you take Derek Carr as your number 1 fantasy quarterback?
Oh. No.
He's not your QB1. Okay.
No.
He's your backup. What are you laughing at up there, Malin? You got Jared Stidham under center for you. So shut up.
Stidham gets a bad rap, but I'm at least giving him a shot.
Sam Darnold might see ghosts, but you know what? Nobody laughed at Haley Joel Osment when he said he saw dead people. So why are we all of a sudden getting a bad rap here to Sam Darnold? I don't understand that at all. I don't get that. That makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. Who's on the clock right now? Or can we get somebody decent here?
The Vikings, who are having a great draft.
Do tell. Do tell.
I mean, they're having a great draft, don't you think? Let's look at all their picks. Do we have all of them in one place?
I mean, they got Justin Jefferson in the first round. Really, probably the best slot.
And no one thought that was going to happen.
And then they got Gladney in the secondary, which definitely filled the need there. I'll go along with that. Keep going. Where else?
And then they got Ezra Cleveland, right?
Ooh, I like that. That's actually a nice bargain price here for a solid offensive tackle.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that's looking pretty good. I feel like they got a lot of value and a lot of stuff we didn't think they were going to get.
And another corner, Cameron Dantzler, who actually ranks pretty well as a cover corner, the kid out of Mississippi State. So, is Minnesota addressing the defensive needs that they need? I mean, we've obviously got good, solid offense. It's a run-first offense. Dalvin Cook, Alex Madison. They've got Kyle Rudolph is the veteran tight end. They've got Irv Smith, who's going to start seeing even more targets. They've got Thielen. They've got Jefferson. BC Johnson, whatever. I'm not enamored with him, but you play a lot of 12 personnel and you got a lot of 2 tight end sets there that you run. You don't need the extra wide out or that deep from there. Or am I wrong? Anybody else like the Vikings as much as Jen does?
Yeah, I do. I think that they've definitely addressed the secondary. They lost Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander to the Bengals this past offseason. So they've definitely they know where they needed work. They needed to replace Stephon Diggs. They needed to rebuff the secondary, and they've done that early on. It's a solid draft for Minnesota so far.
All right. Love that. Adam, talk. What? Who? What? Go ahead. You can try.
I was just going to say Arizona is the other team that I think is having a fierce draft.
Let me hear it.
But I guess everybody thinks that.
I don't know. Does everybody think that? I mean, listen, I got to say, getting Josh James the way they did in the 3rd round, that's criminal. That was criminal. Like, to get Isaiah Simmons was great. To not have a pick in the 2nd round and still land an offensive tackle like Josh James, I think is insane. Adam, how much are you bumping up guys like Kyler Murray now that he's got DeAndre Hopkins? He's getting some protection. It looks like he's got a decent running back in Kenyon Drake, to help out in the backfield. Cliff Kingsbury, who very handsome and quite a great setup. Are you bullish on these Cardinals?
I mean, there's not much higher that Kyler Murray can go. He's in that 5-6 range of quarterbacks. I mean, everyone's going to take Lamar and Mahomes as the top 2. Then you got, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. You could interchange those guys however you want. So Murray, he's just going to be taken so early from me. I'm not a guy that takes quarterbacks very early, so I feel like I really won't have him this year. I'm going to be priced out. I had him in one league last year when he was a rookie because he was getting some hype last year as well. But, he was solid last year for fantasy. Not great, but he definitely has a lot of room to grow. And bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, a full season of Drake, and a 2nd year in that offense, yeah, people are going to be excited about Arizona, and you could understand why. And it's going to take a hefty price to get Kyler Murray this year, though, in fantasy. He's not going to be a value.
Looks like Raiders just traded their pick to the Patriots, which is a big head scratcher. Who do they need so badly right now, Dan?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it's Troutman from Dayton, just so they can. I mean, they made 3 defensive picks so far. It's time to help your offense a little bit. I mean, I think a big target for Stidham would help out. Inexperienced quarterbacks love to identify a big target that they can rely on. And sure, Troutman's going to be a rookie this year as well. But, I mean, if they can just, get a big, reliable target for Stidham or whoever's the long-term quarterback for the Patriots.
Or Cam Newton or
Jameis Winston.
Aaron Rodgers.
Or they tank the season for Trevor Lawrence.
That's why I'm embracing the suck, Howard.
That's tank for Trevor.
Yep. All right, well, the Patriots pick is in. We'll see what happens. They start building up the team. Oh, Bill Belichick just sitting there in his kitchen, just hanging out. What do we think of Bill Belichick's table? If you guys are watching this live stream here, flip on ESPN. There's got to be a look at this weird checkered wooden table of his.
I mean, they seem like they have no money, and they've won all these championships. Their player personnel set up too. I think it's a facade, though, man. They probably have the illest houses hooked up in the background, and they just try to show the worst room.
That's his garage.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's actually his outhouse.
like his 7th dining room.
Oh, look, it's a fireside chat here with Roger Goodell, who's so wiped out now that he's got to sit back in his plush chair. Now. He's got to be wasted.
Can't stand up.
Devin Asiasi, you got
a tight end.
But you went to the Pac-12 here, Dan. Dan, you don't look happy about this. Look at you.
I just really wanted Troutman. That's the guy that I was kind of hyping myself up. I mean, it's nice that they went offense and they got another pass catcher.
Wow, this is actually quite refreshing to sit here and watch somebody else suffer through a draft. Usually this is me and Fensty.
I think the most frustrating part is like everyone knows like this draft is loaded with talent. There's depth. You know, everyone was talking about how there are 10 to 20 guys that went in the 2nd or 3rd round tonight that easily could have gone in the 1st round of any other draft. And you see the Patriots last night and they trade out of the 1st round, which I was expecting. And they're addressing the defense. They need to get younger on defense. At least they got a young safety to eventually replace the McCourty twins, or at least one of them. But it's just, I feel like this is a draft that's really just like sailing by the Patriots.
Yeah, what was that tweet that got sent to me? Adam Schefter tweeted out. Let me read it. One personnel director calls this the deepest 2nd round in the last 25 years. He believes there are 20 players available tonight who could have been 1st round picks. There are usually 7 to 10. There will be as many starters in this round as there were in the 1st.
Apparently, Bill O'Brien was cursing someone out, and it went on TV.
Ooh, was there a prop for that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and listen because a lot of people will say that he was mad at someone.
Wait, where is this?
It's on Twitter, but because I did see on the TV they showed Bill O'Brien several minutes back, but apparently I guess they picked up the audio. I don't know if they picked up the audio or if they just looked at him being mad at someone, but people are talking about it.
God, he's awful.
Wow, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now. He's storming off. He's taking off his glasses. His son looks like he gets beat up at recess a lot.
Well, I can't even laugh about that these days.
What? Oh, yeah, you're right. Bullying is bad.
No bullying.
Unless it's Bill O'Brien's kid.
We've already had someone cry about it on this live stream.
Oh, yeah. All right.
This guy over here.
Well, I was bound to ruin somebody's day. How about that, right?
It happens all the time.
So many trying to ruin mine. I had to just give it on back. That's what it's all about here. All right, so let's talk about. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. Really, the 2nd round was really kind of crazy for me. I mean, it was just that I just got all lost in so many things. You know, watching the AJ Epinesa fall to the Bills, them grabbing him.
Christian Fulton fall so far. I mean, there were quite a few people that fell pretty far. Xavier McKinney fell pretty far.
Yeah, have they said anything about the knock on Fulton?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Didn't he have like he had like a pretty big character, or there were character concerns because of a massive violation that he had in college. He tried to pass a drug test with somebody else's urine, and I think he got like a 2-year ban because of that.
We've all been there. What? You know, because I mean, Mims has great talent, but I know that he dropped because he's still a little raw and he needs some refinement. He needs some more polish as a receiver. I mean, obviously he's in a good spot to see targets though still, because you've got Perriman and you've got Crowder, so Mims can kind of be brought along slowly. But yeah, some of these other guys, I find it very interesting. Who scouts Van Jefferson? Who knows Van Jefferson more? Yeah, see, nobody knows Van Jefferson. Just not a guy. I mean, listen, he's okay.
I thought he was the lead singer of the Kinks.
That's Ray Davies.
Oh, not Van Jefferson.
No, the Kinks. Yeah, are you even old enough to know who the Kinks are?
I just tried to throw out a band that you would know, Bender, because I figured you were the only one listening to music.
I was going to say, besides Lola, can you tell me one song the Kinks did? One.
I've seen Erg, A Music War. Have you seen that documentary, by the way?
No. Who has time to watch documentaries when I'm picking up all your asses against the alarm?
Good God.
Good God. Oh, good heavens.
Ravens take wide receiver Devin Duvernay from Texas.
Ooh. That's actually a pretty decent pick. I mean, if you want to talk about a team that's in dire need of some receivers,
yeah,
I guess we are looking at the Ravens as a major need.
So are we just forgetting Miles Boykin at this point? Is he just ostracized after a year?
I mean, I don't think he's ostracized, but
so.
You've got Marquise Brown, you've got Miles Boykin. Who else is on that team?
Snead.
Don't say. I was just gonna say, don't say Willie Snead.
Well, you asked who's on the team.
I mean, so I don't think we're forgetting Miles Boykin. I just don't think that there's nothing spectacular about him, and I guess it's obviously not an elite passing offense.
Well, I mean, Lamar Jackson's gone out of his way to say he wants to run less.
He has. I'm hoping do you buy that? I don't buy that.
I mean, I think it would be wise if the Ravens listened to him. I mean, how eventually a guy that runs that much, he'll get hurt and it'll cost him.
I totally agree, but I have a feeling that guy, the way that when you watch him play, he's not going to try to make some trick move or run it out or whatever. That's him. He may say he's going to try to run less. I just don't see it happening. Maybe a little less, but it's just who he is. And ultimately he is getting better at throwing and he needs to run less, but I just don't believe it.
And how many times have we seen quarterbacks when you try to change their style, how piss poor they end up?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I just don't see him dropping back and he sees a wide open lane and he's going to be like, you know what? I said I'm not going to run. So I'm just going to stay here and wait for him to get open. So, look, he might run less, but he had 179 rush attempts last year. He goes down to 150. That's still a lot. So I don't think you move his. I mean, look, if you want him, you're going to have to take him second, third round. So if you're on Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't let this statement have you drop him. The reason why you got to worry is that touchdown rate is going to drop. I mean, it's difficult to envision him duplicating what he did last year. We went through this last year with Patrick Mahomes. I know he got banged up, but it was a career for Lamar. He'll still be very good, but you can't expect what he did last year again.
All right, let me ask you, because this poses an interesting question. We say wait on quarterback, but we're talking about home leagues now, even industry leagues. Lamar Jackson's a high pick. Patrick Mahomes is a high pick. If you're in a draft with any Cowboys fan, Dak Prescott now all of a sudden becomes a relatively high pick, no?
No, I'm saying if you're in a draft with a Cowboys fan, I mean, non-Cowboys fan like him too. The guy's been a QB1 every year. Don't act like it's a bias for Cowboys.
I'm talking about him moving up with all the other quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, he was going in that from what I've seen, 5th, 6th quarterback off the board. Maybe he moves up to 3 or 4.
Right, and what I'm saying is that these guys are you're now talking about 2nd round pick on Lamar Jackson, 3rd round pick on Patrick Mahomes. You're probably going to have to use a 5th round pick to get yourself somebody like Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott at this point right now. So what I'm saying is that all of a sudden we're being told wait on quarterbacks, but we're missing out by waiting on quarterbacks. On so far now we've gone through the top 5. How far down does Josh Allen, who's another mobile running quarterback, where does he fall down to? We keep telling everybody to wait on quarterbacks so that they can get Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees right now. It's a different game. Maybe we have to elevate quarterbacks a little bit more in our fantasy rankings.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about Drew Brees because, I mean, he helped me win a title last year. So even though he was injured, and that's someone that, once again, if he's there in round 12, why the hell not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is a different game, I suppose, but at the same time, I don't know. If I'm giving up a 3rd round pick to take Lamar Jackson, I don't know that he's going to give me the differential of enough points. We'd have to do the math, I guess, after the season, because you're right. There are more and more people is coming up the board, but it still seems like you could win a league with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I think you can win a league with Matt Ryan. Absolutely. But what I'm saying is the draft capital of these quarterbacks are all moving up. You got to put Deshaun Watson up there also. And if these guys are all going by the 6th round, let's say the top 6, 7 quarterbacks, and you're in a 10-team league, I mean, do you want to still sit in there and wait, or if you're in, worse, let's say you're in a 12 to 14 team league, then all of a sudden you're going to have to make that move even earlier. If you're in a super flex league, I mean, you're talking about how many quarterbacks are all of a sudden going to go in that first round.
Do need to go faster in a super flex or
in a super flex. You got to do it sooner.
Sure. But when talking to the 14 team league, you're gonna.
If it's a 14 team, just a standard one quarterback league, I'm fine taking a quarterback in the 5th or 6th round just to solidify the position. The only quarterback I would really reach for in the 2nd round might be Mahomes. I don't know if I necessarily want to take Lamar Jackson in the 2nd or 3rd round. If that's the case, I'd rather just wait until the 5th or 6th round to get maybe one of the guys that's in the top 10, but like outside the top 5.
Okay. Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I'm still going to wait on quarterbacks. Josh Allen in the 7th, that's fine if he can last there because he runs a little bit. I guess the biggest thing is all these guys that we're talking about up top, they all have that running element. And then once you get past that, a lot of the guys don't. So you're relying on heavy pass volume that lowers their floor. But Matthew Stafford was having a great year last year before he went down, and he still has solid weapons on the team.
Adam just said the 2 quarterbacks I told Howard a few weeks ago, Josh Allen and Matt Stafford. Those are 2 really good targets. I'm glad to hear you agree.
Don't forget Ben Roethlisberger, man. I mean, he was having a good year 2 years ago. He has weapons on that team, especially if Juju Smith-Schuster can rebound. He's a little bit older, and there's some injury risks. There's some upside with Daniel Jones. Obviously, the turnovers and fumbles are a little bit of a problem.
And what about Tom Brady now? He could be a top 10 quarterback.
Well, how can so here's the thing about Tom Brady. Just because he's got the weapons over there in Tampa Bay doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going back to being a 300-yard passer. Like, the dude was barely passing for 250 yards on a regular basis. You can blame the weaponry that he doesn't have over there, but
he didn't. I mean, you got to be fair. He had
dude's grabbing his elbow every pass.
Not having Edelman. Only Edelman was the big weapon there. I mean, you're talking Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I mean, these are guys get the ball in their hands after the catch, especially a guy like Godwin and Gronk if he's healthy. Look, there are going to be people who are really excited about Brady and overdraft him. But if he is healthy in that offense, he should be able to put up numbers. He's got a ton of weapons around him.
He does have a ton of weapons around him. I'm not gonna deny that. I can't turn around and say, like Jameis Winston, had he still been the quarterback over there, that I would have bought into that whole friggin' offense for fantasy, right? Because Jameis Winston's gonna chuck the ball around. I don't give a crap about the interceptions. I know he's gonna chuck the ball around. I can't say that that's going to be the same thing for Tom Brady. I can't imagine, and let's also remember that, Tom Brady trying to get all of these wide receivers in and out of New England and just nobody stuck. And every time you saw the frustration in his face when he wasn't on the same page, here's a guy now who in a with no training camp or anything like that, does he have the timing with Godwin and Evans, and is he going to be able to do all of that?
I don't see it being an issue with those receivers.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I mean, like, there was a time last year when the Patriots had Josh Gordon, Antonio Brown, and Julian Edelman all on the same team, and by the end of the season, obviously that wasn't the case, and the quote-unquote weapons that he had or didn't have, it was just a depleted source. But, the weapons are obviously better this year for him. They can do more. Protection should be better. I mean, it sucked last year because with the Patriots, he didn't have David Andrews for a full season. He didn't have him at all, actually. The offensive line in Tampa Bay was they performed better than expected, and they got better in this draft. So if the price is right, I'll take Tom Brady as my QB1 if I miss out on the top 10 or top 12 perceived quarterbacks.
All right, well, you know what? I'm going to take out my trusty pen and paper here. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to come back to haunt all of you. Who wants to start? I want Tom Brady's passing yards and touchdowns this season. Ooh. Think about it. Think about it for a second. Everybody write down your answer there so that nobody cheats. Come on. How many yards does Tom Brady have? And how many touchdown passes? That's what I want to know. I'm writing my answer right now. I'm so excited. This is such a fun little experiment, isn't it? All right, I've got mine written. Who's got what?
Yeah,
everybody tell me when you're ready.
I'm
Don't
good.
show it. Don't show it yet. I'll tell you what to reveal.
Oh, you want us to show it on the paper?
Hell yeah, dude.
Well, I didn't do that.
Oh, like write it down?
I wrote it down, but
What was get a pen and paper signifying to you there, Jen?
Jeez. Well, I was gonna write it in my computer. Hold on, I will get a pen.
Bond right now.
As if I have a pen.
Have you been nipping at the White Claw, girl? What's up?
I wish.
They're so good.
We have 4 minutes left on this live stream. We're all going to be messed up after this. Oh, still waiting on Jen. Still waiting.
I don't have a pen.
How do you not have a pen?
You people. I do have a pen.
Oh, there you go. You people. What do you mean by you people?
I wrote it on a napkin.
That's okay. Anti-Semitic, I think. When you say you people, you got me and Fensty here. Hmm.
Really?
Yeah. Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
You think I'm the bully?
I don't know. You just said you people.
All right.
You male people. You people that are not female.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're sexist then. I got you.
You're sexist.
I got you. Is everybody ready yet? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on now. Who's going first? You guys, I'll go first, but you guys have to show me that you're ready. Show me that
okay,
you're ready.
I'm ready.
Show me that you're ready. Adam, show me that you're ready. All right, okay. Oh, fancy. Here you go. 4,156 with 29 touchdowns this year.
Close.
Fancy, let me see it.
All right, so my handwriting is horrible. These are my draft notes. So I'm horrible at writing.
What is that?
Yeah, dude, these are my draft notes, bro.
I can't read a thing on there.
All right, well then I'll just tell you 42-50, 26 touchdowns.
42-50. I gotta write yours down. So I gotta keep you guys honest. 42-50 and how many touchdowns?
26.
26. Fensty. Ronis, let's see it, buddy. 42-63, 28. Wow, look at you guys. Fensty and Ronis, you guys are like boyfriend and boyfriend here.
No.
Malin, let's see it.
Mine are actually very close to theirs, especially Ronis. 42-50 and 28 touchdowns.
Oh my God, we're like 13 yards apart.
Malin copied me.
Jen?
You see mine?
4,200
yards and 30 touchdowns.
Okay.
I also have 7 rushing touchdowns, by the way.
Oh, there he goes. Mr. Literal. Mr. Literal.
1,000-yard career rusher. Let's not forget about that.
That was a joke, by the way.
No. I've got you down for
Good
7
job.
rushing touchdowns,
Yeah.
Adam. You said it. That's it. It's on tape.
Bet the under on that.
I will totally bet the under on that. Oh, my God. All right, so we're almost done here with the live stream. Let's wrap some up. Some final thoughts. Favorite thing about this year's draft? I'm going to start with, who should I start? I'm going to start with Fensty right now. Fensty, favorite part of this draft this year?
I like seeing everybody's cribs, essentially. I missed the show MTV Cribs, and we didn't get to see the whole house, but I'll say this, the rooms and especially the atmospheres, some of them were hilarious. Some of them I know, Ronis, you wish you were at those after those draft parties.
Isaiah Simmons, bro. Best draft party. I wish I was there.
A lot of
What's going on
dessert.
at Simmons' place.
Oh, dude, a whole smorgasbord of desserts for Ronis.
Yeah.
All right, Adam.
Yeah.
Besides the smorgasbord of desserts at Isaiah Simmons' party, what was your favorite part of the draft?
The guy taking the dump at Vrabel's house and doing this live stream with all you guys.
Which is kind of the same thing.
When in doubt, go with food for your answer. Jen, how about you?
My favorite part was Bill Belichick's dog.
Damn it, Jen, you took mine.
Right? Oh, but I'm sorry. Yeah,
know.
that was
The
chalk. I
Husky.
know.
It's
true.
the Husky. We all know it's the
dog was
Husky behind all the
awesome.
genius. All right. When she took yours, Dan, now you got to give me your second favorite.
So this is actually kind of a little detail that flew under the radar, but one of the running jokes online is that the Los Angeles Chargers don't have fans. And when they made their first pick last night, you know, they have all these squares on Roger Goodell's TV, and they couldn't even fill every single Chargers square with a Chargers fan. So it just goes to show the Chargers have about 7 fans, and that's about it.
Wow, poor Chargers. Maybe I'll just have to become a Chargers fan. Not with the draft the Jets had. That was my favorite part. The Jets didn't screw it up. That's all I can say about that. That's going to do it here for the Fantasy Alarm. Well, the Fantasy Alarm powering the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio live stream here. You guys can tune in. They've got coverage there on the channel from now until midnight Eastern. So you can jump over there, go to SiriusXM.com/stream free, and you can listen for free on SiriusXM from now until May 15th. So get on over there. You got Michael Fabiano, Brad Evans, John Hansen, Jeff Ratcliffe, and Bob Harris. So you'll want to tune in and check them out. Guys, thank you so much. This has absolutely been an absolute pleasure working with all of you these past 2 nights. It's obviously just a great team. This is the Fantasy Alarm team right here. Like, how effing amazing is this, right? Come on. Seriously. Big thanks
to... I'm going to give you a virtual hug like everyone gave Roger Goodell.
Don't touch me. It's gross.
Okay.
It's too hot. It's too hot.
Real cuties. Gross.
I want to send out a very, very special thank you to Matt Sells, the guy behind everything here. Matt Sells is crushing it as the producer for these live streams. He's putting up with all sorts of our nonsense. He's putting up with all sorts of technical issues, and he's making this look like one of the best things out there on the internet. So big thank you to Matt Sells for that. Working like a champ. Oh, and he crushes NASCAR too. So you might want to get podcast over there too. All right. So much love to everybody out there. I hope you enjoyed our coverage. I hope your team did you right in the draft. So for Jen Piacenti, Justin Fensterman, Adam Ronis, Dan Malin, Matt Sells, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks for watching the Fantasy Alarm powering of the live stream for SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We'll catch you next time.